the Minerals Commission has announced that the duration of mining leases will now be capped at 15 years, down from the 30-year period provided under the existing law. Chief Executive of the Commission, Martin Aisi, made the revelation during an engagement on the overview of the mining regime in Ghana. Maxwell Aklobato reports.
The Minerals Commission has outlined major reforms to Ghana's mining laws governing the registration and operation of mining firms. Among them is a new limit on the duration of mining leases. Chief Executive Officer Martin Aisi explained that the 30-year leases have not benefited the nation, as companies often fail to undertake extensive exploration. He says this makes it necessary to restrict leases to a maximum of 15 years.
We've also realized that there is no need to give these 30-year leases. It's never helped us. I did a check around the world. I found an average between 21 to 30 years. Most countries in Africa between 25 to 30. A lot of the laws in Africa countries were basically Ghana's law. A lot of countries copy from us. So we have decided that now the upper limit of mining leases should be 15 years.
He also revealed the abolition of development agreement, which granted some mining companies special terms beyond the standard leases. He explained that the state does not benefit from such agreement when economic conditions improve.
We have decided to now abolish development agreements. So all these issues of development agreements, investment agreements where countries are giving, some companies are giving some special arrangements, we're taking them from the law. Like the accounts will say, Amboye. So what are these DAs? Where apart from the standard mining leases each company has in Ghana, they are giving special terms under the guise that they brought in billions. I'll tell you a few things. So for instance, what they forget is that, or what we do to ourselves is that when the economics change, we don't benefit.
Also speaking at the engagement was Dr. Charles Mensah, chairman of the board of the Institute of Economic Affairs. He said Ghana's frequent recourse to the International Monetary Fund stems from the country's failure to properly control its natural resources, which could otherwise finance the economy.
For the record, we have been to the IMF about 17 times asking for a bailout. In other words, we've gone bankrupt about 17 times over the past 40 years, let's put it that way. And here we are, we have a huge mining industry. We produce gold. We are told Ghana is the largest gold producing country, one of the largest, maybe the second in Africa. Yet, with all these natural resources, we keep going bankrupt. Why is that? Now, it is because we have no control over our natural resources. Our natural resources have all been given out to foreign companies who ship out the resources, and the revenues that are accrued to these resources are all banked outside. So as a result, we're being asked to run a race with our hands tied behind us.
The Minerals Commission is hopeful that the proposed reforms to mining laws will help properly indigenize the nation's resources for the full benefit of its citizens. Maxwell Aklobato to report, read to you.
Well, let's speak to Christopher Pokonyako from the Chamber of Mines on this, and he's Director of Analysis, Research and Finance. We're grateful for joining us on News Desk.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And good morning to you and to your viewers.
Thank you very much. Well, with this new move taken by the Minerals Commission, how do you receive this change, really, that the lease period has been capped to 15 years?
Okay. So again, thank you for the question. And from the very outset, I must make the point that the Chamber is not averse to the decision to review the Minerals and Mining Act. Since the objective is that it's going to help improve or optimize the state's benefits from mining. But specifically to the question around the change in the tenure of the mining lease, our position is that this impacts on the sustainability and the viability of the mining industry. I mean, essentially strikes at the heart of the long-term sustainability of the mining industry. And our position is because, one, it has implications on the security of the lease. And once you're going to touch the security of a mining lease, it also has implications on the risk profile of the country and the investment decisions that follow thereof. So generally, once a mine is given a lease and it tries to invest, it takes a long-term perspective of it.
Right.
And the project economics will be informed by the tenure of the lease that you are going to find, and also generally the life of the mine, which of course also depends on the deposits that you are going to discover. Generally, we tend to have like 10 to 15 years of mine life. And then as you are doing your mining, you do what we call ongoing exploration to be able to extend your life of mine. So then if you are cutting the tenure of the lease from, say, 30, and then when it comes to the opportunity to renew it, you're also limiting it at an upper limit of 10, which is just one time. So it means that the entire time that they're going to have to be able to mine is 25 years.
Right.
Then it also means that they're also going to reconsider the investments that they're going to commit to the country. That's the first implication that it has. So generally, investors are going to take a short-term view or a short-term approach as far as mining is concerned when it comes to Ghana. And the second reason around this also is that we've had a certain situation where once mining starts, the fundamentals that support the project may change because of technical or even market factors. So, for instance, the Awoya project that is supposed to mine lithium, of course, the project economics was based on some assumptions around the price of the commodity. And of course, we've all seen that in the last few years, the commodity price has stumbled. And that also has very, very grave implications on the period that you're able to recoup your investment, as well as the returns that are going to originate out of that project. So if, again, the time period is limited because of that, then obviously you can appreciate why this will impact adversely on an investor's decision to come into a country that has reduced the tenure of the mining leases. And again, Ghana is now a very matured mining jurisdiction. So as far as mining is concerned, we are not generally encountering a lot of the oxides ore. So for instance, you are having some mining companies that are encountering ore bodies that are very difficult to treat. Generally, if you are starting as a new destination for mining, the ore bodies that you encounter are generally ones that are easy to treat. But as you become a very mature destination, then you encounter ones that are very, very difficult to treat. And once you are encountering those kind of ore bodies, it also has implications on your cost of processing.
Right.
And the cost of mining in total. So, of course, that's also going to elevate the entire cost of mining relative to other countries. So, again, then if you're having a very, very short time and you're having an elevated cost because of the kind of ore bodies that you're encountering, again, it strikes again at an investment decision that you're going to make as far as this country is concerned.
Right. So, let me come in at this point. Right. I mean, you talk about it's going to have implications on commitment from investors, really. I'm also wanting to know how this is going to affect local content when this decision goes out full scale. Okay.
So the important thing is that the law is not the law is not based on you being a foreigner or you being a Ghanaian, but essentially it's the same issue or it's the same law that comes both an indigenous investor and then foreign investors. So for instance, both of companies that are fully owned. We have companies that are listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange where you and I have committed our funds to such businesses. So the decisions or the factors I'm ascribing to now or the impact I'm talking about now, it affects both locals and then both foreigners. So if I am a local investor and have an opportunity to invest in the mining sector, these are some of the considerations I will hold or I will put into perspective before I commit my resources into the mining sector. So let me give you a classic example.
Right.
When the Minerals Commission decided not to approve the lease the lease application, the renewal for Goldfields, for obvious reasons that they put out there, it changed the coloration around how even financial institutions advance funds to mining companies and their contractors. I mean, suddenly we started having requests from the financial institutions around the tenure or the tenure of leases of these mining companies, and that was considered into the risk or into the credit calculation in terms of the interest rates that these companies are going to pay. It suddenly became a factor as far as the interest computation is concerned. That is something that we had never ever seen. I mean, as far as the work of the chamber is concerned. But because of such decisions, it had a ripple effect on the credit decisions or the lending decisions of financial institutions in Ghana, not even offshore. And this was in Ghana. And it was a relationship between a contractor and then the contractor and the mine. So our point is that because such a decision is going to impact on the security of the lease, it has very, very grave implications around investment decisions and the risk that comes with the country. And therefore, we need to have a second look at it. And again, to the credit of the Minerals Commission, of course, the Chamber is already engaged in a conversation with the Minerals Commission for us to have a certain mutual point where we can all come to. And in the examples that the Minerals Commission, for instance, cites about Cote d'Ivoire, from Nigeria, from Kenya, in terms of their practices, even if you look at their renewal period, there are no upper limits on it. So, for instance, Cote d'Ivoire will say it's 10 years, consecutive 10 years. Nigeria will say 24 years, but it's consecutive 24 years. But in the case of Ghana, it limits it to an upper limit of 10 years. So essentially, you're going to have about 25 years or so to be able to do your project in the country. And that changes the risk coloration and investment decision profile as far as the country and the mining sector is concerned.
Interesting, but your analysis, with this analysis, would you push back this decision being taken by the Commission, or at least renegotiate terms? And what would be your suggestion?
Okay. So our position as a chamber on this matter is that you should tie the renewals to the project's own economics. So if a company has undertaken exploration, and the exploration is showing that maybe there's a life of mine of 10 years, or a life of mine of 15 years, a life of mine of 20 years, let's tie the renewal period to the economics of that particular project. Right. It should not be a fixed upper limit to say it's going to just be one time or whatever, one time 10 years, one time 5 years. But all we are just saying is that don't put a ceiling on it. It should be tied to the project of the economics. If you are going to give yourself that general scope to be able to renew projects based on the findings or the exploration work that has been done by the company, then you put the country in a state to be able to continue to receive investment. And that will guarantee the sustainability of the mining industry in the long term. And of course, the language around how it is renewed has to be clear, so that it gives the investor that certainty that if the investor meets milestone A, B, or C, then the renewal will be done for that investor. So then that lack of certainty is taken away, and what the investor is looking for is that certainty or that guarantee that if he or she commits money to the country and follows the rules of the country, his or her mining lease will be sort of guaranteed. And that's the chamber's position. Just tie it to the results that you are getting from the exploration work and provide certainty as far as renewals are concerned.
Right. Christopher Pokunyako, very grateful for your time on our desk, and he's Director of Analysis, Research and Finance at the Chamber of Mines. Now,